Yo, 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 what's going on, good people? In the words of my boy, my guy, my right hand man, Rich, what's going on, good people? Yo, welcome back to another episode of School's Guilty Pleasures. Man, I'm super excited for this episode. I'm kind of salty, but I'm super excited about the episode. I got my guy, Rio, aka Mario. Listen, from 8th grade to 11th grade, me and this guy were inseparable. You didn't see one without the other. So I wanna thank you for showing up for me today, my brother. What's
Man,
going on with you?
I appreciate you for having me on, man. It's a pleasure to be on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I had to have you on for this episode because you are part of my first experience with this movie, and getting into the details. My guy said he don't even remember watching the movie with me.
But I have little to zero remembrance of watching this movie with me. But after rewatching this movie several times now,
Yeah, yeah.
I understand why. But I will tell you this: when we start talking about it, I'll tell you what it like my actual thought on it.
Okay. So before we get started, I want to do my normal shout outs to the Culture Garden, to Good Earners Pod, Maurice and Spike. Uh what's up, Ray P? What's up, Rich? What's up with I can't why is it going? It ain't clicking right now, but what up to my peoples? Um let's just say this is an exciting time. It's the holidays, and I definitely was thinking about doing another Christmas movie, but I said, nah, man, I'm gonna reach out to my guy and get this one out the way. To me, this is I know it's a cult classic, but to me, this is a classic. We're talking about The Fifth Element, if you can't tell. So before I get started, I want to get into a little bit of the stats. The stats for this movie: it cost 93 million to make this movie. At the end of 99, this movie was the most expensive movie ever made. That shit's insane, by the way. It didn't make much money in the box office at first. I think it brought in about 16 million, but it did wind up making about 200 altogether, 200 million, 253 million. So it made its money and then some. Uh, it was directed by Luke Benson, who is a legend, man. He wrote this movie at 16. He started writing this movie at 16 years old. He wanted this movie to be a trilogy, but it didn't work out that way. So he kind of combined those three scripts, and this is the movie he came up with. So, anything you want to say before I get into it?
Just about the movie in general, I think that it's a great cast. It's
Yes,
it's a great cast, like
yes,
the star-studded cast, actually.
yes. I think this, and especially for the moment, when you think about it, the biggest star on the cast in '97 was Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was that guy in '97, but I think everyone else was coming up. Mila Yankovic. Who else is in here? Gary Oldman. Um,
Luke Perry,
Luke Perry. R.I.P. to Luke Perry. Luke Perry
yeah,
was a '90s legend, man.
yeah.
'90s legend. Shout out to Beverly Hills 90210. That was a high school soap opera from we was
Man,
young, and I mean that show was huge. Think of, like, if you younger, High School Musical. It's along that lines. Like, people went crazy over this show. Um,
but
so, like
yeah,
I said, I'm gonna get into the cast. Bruce Willis plays Corbin Dallas. You have Chris Tucker. He plays Ruby Rod. You have Mila Yankovic, who plays Lilu, which is ultimately she's playing the Fifth Element. Luke Perry plays a character named Billy. And then we have another guy named Ian. I believe his name is Ian Grosham. He plays Constantine. He's the priest. He plays Constantine. But that's pretty much the whole cast. Gary Oldman, he plays Zorg. He's like the main bad guy. But that's about it. There's no, like you said, it's a star-studded cast, but it's 5 or 6 people in it. Um, So, like I said, the origin of the movie. Like I said, Luke Benson wrote it when he was 16. Wrote 3 scripts. He didn't get this film. It didn't even get start developing until he was about 35. So think about having something in your head for almost 18 years, 19 years, and you can't get it off. Um, and then you finally do. And it, man, to me, this movie still holds up. That's one of my favorite things about it. Like, this movie was released May 9th, 1997, and it still looks good. Specifically for 2023, I don't know if you have anything to say about that. What did you think about the graphics and stuff? It was because I always talk about awards. It was nominated for an Oscar for best visual and sound editing. So the
Yeah,
Oscars even thought so.
yeah, nah, like I'd agree. I think that it definitely holds it definitely holds up with the through the test of time. Like, so if we're looking at it from that angle, like it holds great value. Like it's a
Yeah.
very rewatchable movie
Yeah.
even today.
Yes.
But I will say I will say this though. This was definitely the type of movie in '97 I could see them. There's only 2 people that could have played in this movie
Okay.
as Corbin Dallas
Okay.
in '97. That's Bruce Willis and then Nicolas Cage. That's the only other person I could have seen playing in that role.
Okay. I can see that. Luke Benson, he went for Bruce Willis and Mel Gibson,
Oh,
which shout out to Rich. He loves Mel Gibson.
I could see this. This is around
He
the
really
same.
don't.
I mean, I don't. I think Nicolas Cage would have been the other person I saw playing that, but it's definitely a Bruce Willis. It's definitely a Bruce Willis film.
Yeah, it's something about Bruce Willis playing that asshole good guy.
Yeah,
Like, he's a good guy, but he's just an asshole. Like, he's just really good at that character, and I believe he started that with Die Hard. But I believe that started in this, the 60s and 70s with Clint Eastwood and John Wayne and those type of characters. Even Shaft, like, you know,
yeah.
you're an asshole, but at the end of the day, you're a good guy. You're not looking for trouble, but somehow trouble always finds you. and their luck is always bad, always having that bad luck.
Yeah.
So let's talk about our first experiences. I'm on a Obviously you don't remember your first experience, but my first experience was with you on 29/11.
Oh,
Oh yeah, 29/11. We was watching it, bruh. You got me thinking like, damn, did we watch this motherfucker? Like, I know we did, bruh.
I'm sure we did, but it's like I said, it probably just didn't stick with me like that. Like,
And
I
it surprises me because of Chris Tucker in this movie. Like,
yeah,
I love Chris Tucker in this movie. Chris Tucker plays Rudy Rod, who is a DJ VJ. And I remember being younger and was like, ugh, he weird. That's weird. But doing my research, Luke, and I'm not trying to step on trivia, but I'm just gonna give a little trivia as we, go through this. Luke Benson originally, he said he was inspired by Michael Jackson and Prince. So that character Ruby Rod was written specifically for Prince or Michael Jackson. He even tried to get Prince and or Michael Jackson to be in the movie, and Prince decided no thanks. He said when he saw the costumes, they were a little too much for him.
too much for Prince.
Yeah, that's what he said, man. The nigga that was wearing the cutout asshole cheap joints. But hey, it is what it is. So yeah, he said it was a little too much for him. And even doing the behind the scenes, Chris Tucker said the same. Like, it was some costumes he said that were ridiculous. Like, he wasn't going for it so much that the scene on the air excuse me, the space shuttle or whatever, where he gets intimate with the young lady. he
Yeah.
had that he had them write that in because he wanted people to know, like, this character likes women.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was specifically written, so he could let people know like this character likes women, because he didn't want them to think, that he didn't like women. Hey,
Well,
man.
I'm glad they wrote that in because I mean, I was only on assume without. But I will say this though, do you find it interesting that they like now that you say that they got Chris Tucker for the role, and it's just kind of ironic that him and Michael Jackson were best friends.
Man, that's crazy, right?
Crazy how that turned out.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's a fact, man. That's one of the reasons why I still to this day fuck with Chris Tucker, because he always speaking highly of Mike, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Always.
And I'm gonna ride with him for that for life too. You know what I mean? Just based off of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It seems like a lot of people are, not to get off topic, but a lot of people stepping back on their Michael Jackson opinions. But we don't want you. I don't want you on mine. We good.
Yeah,
Stay where you was at, nigga. It's
yeah.
Team MJ this way. But yeah, do you have a do you remember your first experience? Seems like you don't, but I'm gonna ask anyway.
Well, well, I mean, my first experience. I mean, I remember recently watching a movie just like a few weeks ago. So, but but I mean, like I said, man, I mean, it could have been one of them movies that just didn't stick with me because there's plenty of movies that I've seen, but
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you the main character, but I know I saw the movie. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right, right.
And vice versa. So other movies I have to like actually watch it and be like, oh yeah, I saw this, years ago.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But I will say this though, it's the craziest thing with Chris Tucker being in the movie, and Debo is the president,
Yeah.
aka Tiny Little Zeus.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love these movies that do that, because the year is 2235. So the
Yeah,
synopsis for this film is, basically, uh, there's an evil presence, and the priest Constantine, he is in a long line of priests to protect the world. They know that this evil demon spirit is coming. They just don't know when. So it is his duty to protect the world when it comes. And his what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word right now. His apprentice. That you when you're a priest, you have an apprentice, and he teaches his apprentice all this, and he was taught that one day that this evil villain or evil spirit was going to come, and it finally happened in his era. But they had been fighting this for almost 300 years, um, and when it finally came, they was ready. And man, that's when you get Corbin Dallas, who is a former military dude, a former military, and that's the thing that's in those movies that always work out too. Like, he just retired 6 months ago, then all of a sudden the world needs to be saved.
man. And it's only fitting that he was a cab driver after
Yes,
his retirement.
I'm glad you said that. That's another little tidbit of trivia. Luke Benson's father uh, was a taxi driver, and to help Luke get through uh, art school, his dad part time drove taxis. So in all of his movies, he always has a taxi driver in it. Whether you see the taxi driver or they speak of it, he always has some homage to his father for that. So shout out to Luke Benson for that.
Yeah, hey, I won't lie though. I like it's kind of like the average guy is getting credit. You know what I mean and for rising above, and that's honestly Bruce Willis. That was his bread and butter. Like he gonna play this average
Mm-hmm.
guy, but he
Yeah.
gonna somehow do something tremendous to save either the world or save a group of people.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. Because it's funny, like you said, he's an average dude, and he thinks that he's here to save. Uh, he really thinks he's going to save the world, not realizing, and the government doesn't know it either. Like they have a fifth element, like Lilu, Mila Yankovic's character, or she is the fifth element. She is uh, an all being. She's 2,000 years old. when you think
Yeah.
about it. Like she's 2,000 years old, bro, but she doesn't look it. You know, she has that youth. So, like I said, another category that I always have is what would you do? So first off, before I get into that, do you think this is a good movie, a bad movie? How do you feel about this movie? Be honest, man.
Yeah,
It ain't
yeah,
gonna hurt my feelings.
yeah, yeah. No, I think that it's a. I won't rate it as a bad movie. I think that it's a good movie, but it reminds me a lot of like it reminds me a lot of Die Hard, but in the future.
Okay,
Like, yeah,
okay,
like when I like literally watching this movie, I think a lot of Die Hard. It's like Die Hard meets Star Wars.
okay.
That's
I can
yeah,
go with that.
like you know what I mean.
So the question that I have for you, the next question is, what would you do if anything to make this movie better?
Man, I don't know if I can to make the movie better.
And it could be nothing. Like you might not be anything.
Yeah, I think adding anything to this movie just puts it over the top. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It's already just one of those sci-fi movies that's it's one of those action sci-fi movies that's like, all right, if you do anything else now it's just bizarre.
yeah,
Like, yeah,
yeah.
doing what they did was enough. But I mean, what I would probably honestly, I would make it more realistic from a certain standpoint. You know what I mean?
Right.
If I was gonna do anything to it, like it was one point the fifth. You know what I mean? When the Fifth Element, Leela was fighting like 10 of those Manglords.
Yeah.
And they just sitting there watching her fight on one by one. Like, if you going to jump somebody, you're not just gonna watch nobody. You know
Right.
what I mean? They gonna watch one person at a time go down. Nah, like I gonna jump her. Like,
Yeah. I that's that's one of the things that I do that I have is more like a thing that kind of fucks with me is like it's a lot of bad guys in this movie. You know what I mean? Like they got the Mangalores, they got Zorg, they got that evil spirit.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's a lot of bad guys in this movie. And like you said, the Mangalores, they ain't even really into this shit. They just trying to get back at Zorg because
yeah,
Zorg played them. After he sent them and told them that these stones were on this ship, and
yeah,
they did all this shit to get them, and they just got the crate. They didn't know what was in it. He told them not to open it, so they bring them the crate and ain't shit in it. He mad at them like
yeah.
that's fucked up. So my answer to what would I do to make this movie better, man, I wouldn't let Zorg, aka Gary Oldman's character, I would have leaned on him a little bit more. I wouldn't have let him die so soon. I think he's a great character in this movie. Uh, and I think he died too soon. I think that you could have used him. It would have been good to see him in that very last scene where they're putting the stones on there and trying to, the earth, the countdown and all
Yeah,
that. If he somehow would have been involved in that, some type of tussle, I just think that he's a good character, and you just don't let him die like that.
yeah. But I will say though, to the credit though, I will say that if he dies at the proper time, because if he doesn't die at the like if he dies at the very end, then I think that point pinpoints him as the main bad guy when
Maybe.
the main bad guy was, you know what I mean, the evil spirit. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? So
yeah.
I think that's kind of why they were like, okay, they had to get rid of him because that leads you to the ultimate bad guy.
Right. And I think too the reason they killed him the way they did was because it was only right that the Mangalords got him.
Yeah.
It was that was all they really wanted was to get back at him. Um so do you have any scenes you want to get into? Any scenes or quotes?
Oh yeah, I got some.
All
I got.
right.
I got some quotes. I'm gonna. Can I go? I go first.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. So I don't got many quotes, but the quotes I got, like I think the one is they say it throughout the movie the whole time, but it's time is not important. Life is you know what I mean. Life is only important.
Yes.
Like they said at the beginning, but they also said a couple other times.
Mm-hmm.
throughout the movie. And I think that's just kind of like the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that like that's actually kind of live, like, you know what I mean? Like, and especially like living through life, like, I mean, that's something that you kind of understand as an adult. Like, oh, like, yeah, that's true. But Chris Tucker, Chris Tucker,
Killed
look,
it.
man, he killed this movie for me.
Killed it. Yeah.
Like, and I thought just, I mean, first time I watched it, I'm like, okay, like, it's cool. Like, ain't no Bruce Willis for me was the initial like draw because I'm a
Yes.
big Bruce Willis fan. But
Absolutely.
man, Chris Tucker, man, just I don't know, man. He did his thing in this movie. Like, even though his character was kind of like, you know what I mean, you kind of on the fence of like, do I mess with him or not? Like, but like, I think that he played it well enough that where it's like, man, yeah, I rock with him for real. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But man, when he was on the ship, you remember when they first got on the ship, and
Yeah.
he said, she was like, Mr. Road, please assume your proper position. He said, I don't just want one position, I want all the
I
positions.
want all the
Hey,
positions.
hey,
Yeah.
that's hey,
Yeah. I like too.
he a
She
wild
said,
boy.
Mr. Rod. That nigga came up out the air and said, you can call me Ruby.
Yeah, but so for me, like those are the two quotes that like those stuck with me like throughout.
I I'm with you on those quotes. I also like the quote that Lilu had of why save the world, why save life when I see what you do with it. One of my favorite scenes is her. um Obviously she hasn't seen, or she's been gone for 2,000 years, and they have to catch her up on what's going on. So the year is 2235, so
Yeah,
she's seeing all types of war, and the World War I, World War II, and just how little we as people value life. um and that's one of her quotes, is like, why risk my life to save you guys when you guys don't value life? You guys kill each other for nothing.
yeah.
For shits and giggles, people kill each other. So I stand on that. I like the scene of them discovering her. She's just a hand, and
Yeah.
they bring in that machine, and it scans her, and the colonel is like, oh, it's a girl, and then he's trying to take pictures, and like, these niggas just creeps, man.
Some wild boys.
Some wild boys. That's a fact, man. The 90s was different, man.
Especially you remember the scene where she was like changing and
Yes.
it was the priest and Billy,
Yeah,
and
they take
then
her.
like hey, it sounded like it was the first time they ever seen a woman naked. Like it was like,
Well, if you think about it, he's a priest, so it probably was.
oh yeah,
Priests and nuns, they don't partake.
yeah. But from the way he was sounding though, it sounded like he wanted to.
Why
That's
wouldn't
all.
he? Shit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not blaming him, but I'm just saying, like, I
Yeah.
was just like, yo, that's kind of wild. Like, he was like, hey, did you see her?
Yeah.
I
Hmm.
was like, hey,
Yeah. Said it's
but
looking good. Looking
yeah,
real good. About
yeah.
to risk it all, huh?
Oh man, this movie was the like Bruce Willis, like when she landed in his taxi,
Yeah.
and he was about to hand her over, and then he was just like at the last minute, he was like, nah, and my man only had 1 point on his
One
license.
point left. I can't
This
do it.
movie was just like this movie was the if risking it all was a hey, this is it.
This is it.
This
Now,
is it.
that's another thing too that I agree, that I think they could have leaned on to a little bit more, is just that futuristic feel of New York City, and that whole scene when she's running away from the military and jumps into and lands in that cab. Like, that image is super dope.
Yeah.
And it would have been dope to see Corbin Dallas, aka Bruce Willis, aka Corbin Dallas, go on a cab fare. You know, take a couple people around the city just to see what New York in 2022-65 look like. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And like we was discussing earlier, it's funny that Chris Tucker and Tiny Lister are in this movie. People were so far off from thinking that we would have a black president that that's what they thought. It'd be 2285 before we get a black president. Like that's how crazy that thought was. You know what I mean? Like, and it be okay because if you're watching this movie, you're like, oh shit, it's 2235. Yeah, that's it ain't gonna be in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Like,
Hey, but no, that's real though. Like,
yeah. Shout out to Barack. Shout out to Michelle, man. Shit.
man, but I mean, I ain't gonna lie though. Like, I was like, man, I was like, Tiny Lister is the president.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Showing his acting skills,
oh
honestly,
yeah, oh yeah,
because if you think about it, think about how in '97 how he's typecasted
oh yeah, for sure.
like every character up into this point he's pretty much playing a Debo character or a motherfucker you just don't want to fuck with. Like he gonna whoop your ass. Like, and he leans into that again after this movie as well. But I think this is the first time you see him, you know, kind of spread his acting chops. You know,
Yeah,
show that he can act because he did a damn good job.
yeah, and this because this was right after Friday too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But this is the movie that got Chris Tucker Rush Hour. This movie is what propelled Chris Tucker's career. Like you could say Friday did that, but Friday put him on the radar. But this the movie that took him to view.
I agree. I definitely think this is one of those movies that showed that he's well diverse and he doesn't have to just act in those, you know what I mean, standard black movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
He can do other things too.
yeah. A lot of his scenes and things like that were ad libbed. So when you see him in certain scenes, specifically that whole the whole scene with Corbin Dallas and
when he first got announced as the winner.
no, when they're on the ship
Oh, okay.
and everything's going down and he's on the radio and he's describing everything, which is when you think about it, it's 2235. Like you would think that radio would be much different. You know what I mean? Like think about how radio is different right now. Like radio would be, I feel like there would be cameras. I don't know. I
But
might be
but
overthinking it,
but
but
but to the credit though, in '97, you got to think like technology. We didn't know where it was going,
you're
so
right.
yeah. So they probably thought radio was just gonna be like the biggest media
Mm-hmm.
thing, you know what I mean? Like it was only gonna expand and get bigger, which now we know
Yeah.
we know in 2023 that well, radio is still one of those things that's a leading media thing. It's not the leading media thing.
Nah, because I can't tell you a radio hit right now. Like I can't name 5 songs that's being played on the radio right now.
I could probably tell you 2 or 3.
I ain't listened to the radio in so long, bro. As soon as I get in the whip, I hook up the aux cord to my shit. Straight up. It's keeping it real. So
Yeah. Did you find it ironic that the ship was basically just Hawaii?
yeah, yeah. I thought that was dope. I thought that like just for it to be 97 and Luke Benson's mind to work like that. But then think about this. Like I said, he wrote this script when he was 16.
Yeah.
So that means he wrote this script in 18 years prior. So he wrote this in the 80s,
Yeah.
the
That's
late
crazy.
70s, early 80s. Like he wrote this movie and his mind was working like that. Everyone thought that we would have flying cars by, the Jetsons was set in 2001 or 2002, if I'm not mistaken. So, man,
Yeah.
they thought we would be doing all types of crazy shit by 2023, and we ain't nowhere near that.
But what's crazy though? Like even if you think about most things in the '90s, when they talked about the future, they always assumed there was going to be some type of flying cars and
Yeah,
But I will say this though, I think they were kind of spot on with like these robots and stuff. Like, you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, oh yeah. Listen. They were spot on with a lot of things, and I even like how they did uh small things but changed them, like cigarettes. You people smoking a cigarette and it was
Yeah,
opposite, like
yeah,
the filter, the whole thing was brown and then the
yeah,
other part was white. Like
yeah,
even just little changes like that is like that's brilliant thinking. So man, shout out to Luke Benson for that.
yeah,
Because that's what it's all about. You know, no one knows what the future looks like. So you're going out on a limb and changing up things as best as you can. And like I said, this movie holds up to me. It is a couple things that's flunky that you're like,
yeah, yeah,
like I think it's, but I don't even, when you think about it, like the very beginning of the movie is like 1914, and
yeah,
those aliens that were like real big and clunky. I'm
yeah,
like, damn, what is this shit? You know?
yeah.
So
But I will say this though, this whole movie, a lot of things could have been avoided if my man's wasn't acting scary.
who?
You remember the priest was trying to tell his
Oh
son,
yeah.
like, yeah, like those are our friends, like, and he
Mm-hmm.
was like, no, he killed the professor. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, the professor got himself killed.
Yeah, Professor was his own. You hear me? And
Yeah,
your boy was trying to kill him with the drink. Remember the
yeah,
opening scene? He tried to give him the drink and talking about let's celebrate.
yeah.
Like, side note, if anyone hands you a cup and watches you drink it, run, nigga. Dump that shit out. That nigga was like, yeah, he was watching them. Then that nigga said, we can't celebrate with water. Dump that shit. Like, yeah, you know, and that's even weird. Like, let's celebrate and you give me some water. Like,
Yeah,
nigga, what a drink at? Shit. So, um, I'm trying to think. Is there anything else?
yeah. I did want to point out, like, just like another scene though
Yeah, absolutely. Go
that I
for it.
mess with. Uh, Corbin Dallas. This how I knew Corbin was real.
Yeah,
Like when he was about to go to work, and he opened up his thing, and the dude tried to rob
bruh.
him.
That's one of
Hey,
my favorite. I'm glad that's one of my favorites. Because think about how smart that is for real. Like to take a picture of someone's hallway and put it on your head and put it in a peephole. Or
yeah,
even as soon as he opened the door, it looks like he's walking into his hallway. Like that shit's brilliant. Just was he didn't know who he was fucking with.
yeah.
That's it. Like if he would have opened the door and been a simp, he'd have been good.
Hey, but dude, hey,
He was zoning one. He
yo, hey, I won't lie to you though. I can't even the dude, bro. Corbin played it so smooth, bro.
yeah.
Like
He told me
dude
it ain't
couldn't,
even loaded.
but dude couldn't even be mad that he, you know what I mean, that he took his gun. Like he was
Hey, you mind if I take this, man? You sure?
like, he said, man, I don't want you to hurt yourself, man. Like,
Hey, you know what that you know who he remind me of? One of your impressions. One of your impressions you used to do all the time. You know what I'm about to say.
Zoidberg.
Zoidberg!
Dr.
My
Zoidberg.
nigga. I'm giving.
Hey, shout out to the Simpsons, man.
Shout out to the Simpsons. Shout out to you for remembering and knowing what I was talking about, my
Oh
nigga.
yeah, hey.
Yeah, you used to do that shit all the I'm giving. Hey.
Hey man. But
Um,
but
another one of my favorite scenes. Also, shout out to McDonald's because McDonald's, bruh, they knew it's 2035, 2235. They know they gonna be around. McDonald's was just like, we a power fucking house. We don't give a fuck what year it is or what the fuck is going on. You will be ordering a Big Mac.
yeah.
Straight up. But one of my other favorite scenes is the opera scene. You
Oh
know, old girl was she was killing it, bro. That's a banger. Side note, another little piece of trivia. When they gave her that piece of music, she's a real opera singer.
oh
She knew that the music was too fast. The way the music was written, it's not possible for it to be played the way it was, so it had to be synced on top of each other, but you can't tell. So shout out to, and I think that's probably one of the reasons why they was nominated for an Oscar, because of the editing and the sound. But physically it's impossible to create that music or play it straight up. So that's one of the reasons why she didn't even want to do the scene, but they figured out how to do it and got it together. And like I said, I love that scene. I love she get to dancing and that shit dope. Like if opera was like that, bro, I would go see opera.
Yeah. Hey, I will say this to that point though. I think you spot on with that though. Like the music, the music definitely, like music in any movie is going can make or break it.
Yes.
And
yeah. Especially when you're talking about the future, because we don't know what sound's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't know what it's going to be. Let me see any other good scenes. Another good scene on my end that I really love is any scene with Zorg.
Oh yeah,
I have two specifically. The first time when he calls in Cornelius, aka the priest.
Yeah.
And he's pretty much telling him like, tell me where the stones are, and he's pretty much on his ass about those stones. And he's like, even if I knew where they were, I wouldn't tell you. Like, you're an evil person. And he tells him, he kind of gives him that Thanos talk, like, you need people like me. Like, we need balance in this world. Like, look at this. Like, this is just a regular glass, but when I knock it over, I give people jobs and all these robots, and I put them to work. And eventually he chokes on that cherry, and he's like, Cornelius is like, look at you. Where's your robot to pat you on the back? And shout out to Zorg again, because what type of bad guy he is. He's an evil dude, but at the same time he respects shit, because Cornelius saved his life.
Yeah.
And ultimately, if that scene wouldn't have happened, or he wouldn't have done that, he would have killed Cornelius. But being a real nigga, he like, yo, you saved my life, I'll spare yours. Now get the fuck out of here. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, I love that scene. And then the other scene that I have is when he sets the what are they called? Maglords, when he fucks them up. Like, he knew how dumb they were. They warriors. They're smart in the sense of war and shit like that.
Yeah.
But he knew I didn't tell them about this red button. You know what I mean? Like, because a human would have automatically been like, yo, what's this red button? I'm examining everything. But he knew that they would just be so excited about this gun and all these
and just the wars and
all this shit that this gun does, that they forgot to even ask about it. So he gave him go ahead, keep that case. Keep a whole thing of them joints, like, because I know you niggas gonna kill yourselves. And ultimately they did. And like I said, that's what led to his demise. Like, they want to get back on him.
Yeah.
They want to get back. So you were right about that. Like, they had to be the ones that killed him, man. They did.
Yeah, it was, it was one of them bittersweet things where it was like, you knew it was going to happen. You just didn't know how it was going to happen.
Yeah. And a little tidbit of trivia. Shout out to Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman, side note, is one of my favorite actors. Yeah, I fucks with Gary Oldman. He said that, so he has a movie that came out a year prior to this. I wrote it down, but I can't find it right now. But he made his own movie, and in the middle of doing the movie, he lost money and he couldn't finance it. And Luke Benson, who is the director of this movie, him and Luke are very good friends. And Luke Benson came and wind up finishing the finances for his movie, for Gary Oldman's movie. So when Luke approached him to be in this movie, Gary Oldman said he didn't even read the script. Like he immediately was like, "Yeah." It's like if I came to you, like I came to you and was like, "Bro, you want to jump on the pod?" He was like, "Hell yeah, bro!" Like it was one of them
Yeah.
moments. Like he said he didn't even read the script, and in an interview in 2011, he says he doesn't like this movie like at all. And they asked him about the cult status because this is a cult classic, and they was like,
Yeah.
"What about it's a cult classic?" And he looked in the camera and said, "It's a wacky world that we live in." So shout out to Gary Oldman, man. Said he ain't fucking with it, but that's still his homie, man.
Like I said, man, I don't think it's one of those movies. I don't think it's a bad movie at all. But I won't put it like, you know what I mean, in like my top 10. But I think that for the type movie it is, that it's a really good movie. It holds like in to me, like what makes or breaks movies for me, and it's just like my personal opinion, but it's like, is it rewatchable?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And is it like the ending? The ending for me is everything for a movie.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it could be a great movie. If the end is terrible, I'm like, oh yeah,
I'm out. I'm out.
yeah. It was no point even having like the movie be as good just for the ending to be terrible.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's definitely a good movie, man. But I got it, man. Chris Tucker held it down in this movie, man.
Yeah. The only thing, one of the things that didn't age well in this movie
The hairdo.
is Corbin Dallas, man. Why he was trying to force himself on Lilu, man.
Oh yeah, bro. Kissing her on the couch.
Yeah. Hey.
If
And
that
I'm
movie,
glad she pulled the strap on that nigga. Shout
yeah.
out to the women that had to pull a strap on the nigga because he ain't know his place, man. That
Hey,
shit.
niggas got to know boundaries because that was real rapey.
That
It
was
was,
what? Like, come on, man. You don't even know this lady. Like, it's just crazy.
yeah,
Shit
bro.
crazy.
But he was on her since she landed in the
Back of the cab.
in the back of the taxi, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my man.
Even that so another tidbit of trivia, that scene, the first time they meet, so Luke Benson and Mila Yankovic, I'm probably fucking her name up.
I'm pretty sure that's how you. I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, she was. I mean, a lot of people know her from Resident Evil too. All the Resident Evils. I think it's like 6 of them bitches. But so Mila Yankovic speaks like 6 different languages. So, like I said, Luke Benson wrote this movie when he was 16. He was so obsessed with this movie that he wrote a language for this. Remember at the beginning, when she
Yeah,
first comes in
yeah.
that tube and she's talking, and he's like, "That's the original language," and that's a language that Luke Benson wrote himself, and he taught it to Miller. And throughout the movie, when they were filming the movie, they, like I said, he taught her, and they would speak to each other in this language that he made up. Like, so
Whole time I thought she was speaking. I thought what she was speaking was like some form of Latin. Because when you said
nah,
original language,
that's some shit that Luke Benson made up. Yeah. So
oh yeah, he was
and
definitely on a different type of time when he wrote this movie.
yeah, and like I said, he made that shit up and taught her it, and they were speaking to each other in between takes and shit on the set in this language, to the point where only they knew what they were talking about. So in that scene where she drops in the cab and she's and Corbin Dallas says, "Hey lady, I only know two languages, English and bad English." Like that was ad-libbed because she was speaking that shit, and
Yeah.
and and he it threw him off. So that's all he could come up with. Like, yo, I only speak two languages, English and bad English. And that's a lot of Americans on that right now.
Yeah, yeah. I felt, hey, when Bruce Willis said it, I felt that. I said, oh, okay.
Straight up.
Hey.
Up. Like, I don't know what you're trying to say, baby, but I don't speak that. And then she got the please help.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
but that's crazy. But it also show you, man, dude's willing to risk a lot for you know what I mean? Especially if they see something attractive, they don't even know what language she speaks, so it's already a language barrier. You ain't never met this lady before in your life, but you just
Yep.
know you think she fine.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Hey,
All it takes, man.
and he was just like, hey, I don't know where I'm gonna get with this, but I'm gonna rock with it. But
Hey,
he just seemed to be like, I guess he was, you know what I mean, like per the conversation, you know what I mean, that he was having on the phone with his buddy right before he left the crib.
yeah,
He was talking about his ex girl leaving him.
yep.
You know what I mean? And he
Talking
was
about she left him for the lawyer. He talking.
yeah. And so I'm like, man, like boy, he went outside with his ex, but you know now he just like, is he desperate? Is that why he did it, or was he just
Right, and that's the thing too about those protagonists. Is most of them like they always got to have that bad luck.
yeah
Like remember he was and I thought that was super cool too. How the Chinese restaurant came to his windowsill, and
yeah
he bet him his lunch. Like you got a letter, and it was of course it was bad news. He was fired, and yeah, man, that's just like
Hey,
I
I
said,
do.
shout
I
out to
got.
Luke,
I
man.
got. I take that back. I got one more. I got one more quote from the movie
Okay,
that stood out. Remember when they approached him about going on the mission, like the
yeah,
government did
yeah,
originally, and they were like, "Yeah, you won that you won the contest, like you know what I mean?" And he was
boss.
like, and they were like, don't you listen to your answer machine? We left you a message. He said, "Nah, I got enough good news for the I have enough good news for the day."
Got enough good news for the day. That's a
Hey,
fact. Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, that's a fact. And like you said, he got all that. He said last time I what he say? Last time I checked my voicemail, it was my wife telling me she was leaving me, and my lawyer telling me he was firing me or leaving for my wife or some shit. Like
yeah,
that's fucked up, man.
hey,
The crazy thing is that shit happen every day.
yeah, yeah. That's good. Hey, but nah, man, it was definitely really it was refreshing rewatching the movie versus watching it on Impact for the first time.
Right.
Like for me, but man, I got a question up for you
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
every time I was watching it, I had to keep going back. So you remember when Chris Tucker when they first got on the ship, right, to
Yeah.
go to paradise,
Hmm.
and Chris Tucker obviously like he was he that's when he introduced Ruby Road, like you know what I mean, who he was. Man, what's that? So you remember the lady he was talking to, the stewardess? Like
Yes.
he got up on her like and he
Hmm.
like licked his lips and
Yeah. Yeah.
is that Lisa Bonet?
No, that is not Lisa
I
Bonet.
thought that was Lisa Bonet.
Not Lisa Bonet. No, sir.
I thought it was Lisa Bonet.
Shit was looking good, but it ain't Lisa Bonet. Not at all. Not at all. You know what? It's funny you say that because I thought one of the niggas in his crew looked like Hakeem from Moesha, the little bald head nigga. I was
From
like, is that
Moesha?
is that Hakeem? I had to look twice, man. Yeah, but nah, that was not Hakeem, and that was not Lisa Bonet.
Okay. I thought I was tripping. I was like, man, is that Lisa Bonet or am I tripping? So I'm
Nah,
definitely tripping.
yeah. So before we get out of here, is there anything else you want to say? Anything else? Any other scenes? Any more quotes? I think I gave a lot of the trivia. The only other trivia that I really had is if you notice at the beginning of the movie, Milla hair is naturally red. They what am I looking for? They dyed her hair red, and then because of the extensive shooting and they kept having to dye her hair started to fall out. So by the middle of shooting the movie, she had to wear a wig. So you can kind of
Oh,
tell the difference
yeah.
by like the from the first hour to the second hour. Like it's really orange the second hour because
Yeah.
she had to wear a wig because her hair was falling out. They kept dyeing her shit every 2 hours.
Oh, nice.
So I think that's it on the trivia side. I don't think I have anything else, any more scenes. Listen, this movie is dope to me, man.
I got something to say though, real quick.
Absolutely,
While
absolutely.
while we still on it.
Okay.
All right, so because you brought up here and that made me think of, all right, we could have did without the Chris Tucker here. They could have did something different, anything different.
I
But
I
but
think
but for the
that
type of character,
I think that's smart though. Chris Tucker ain't doing nothing but playing Young Thug.
yeah.
Shit. Shit.
But my biggest really my only, I ain't gonna say my only pet, but my biggest pet peeve from the movie, and it was hard for me to, not hard for me to watch the movie, but to go without this bothering me. Bruce Willis got blonde hair, like platinum blonde hair in this movie.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see Bruce Willis with platinum blonde hair.
Hey man, listen. You ain't need to see Chris Tucker in a dress neither, but you did. Shit.
I
And
did.
and that's crazy too. Like I said, when I was talking about the costumes were so wild. If you notice, he only has two different costumes this whole movie
Yeah.
because it's some costumes that he refused to wear, which lets me know I would like to see the costumes because, like I said, Prince turned it down simply because of the costumes.
Yeah, if Prince turning it down, it's probably real wild.
Some wild shit, man. So Prince, Prince and Michael Jackson, both who Ruby Rod was the inspiration for. Uh, they both turned it down, so that's why Chris Tucker he took the role and he just pretty much said he was trying to be Michael Jackson and Prince.
Yeah, well, which I won't lie though, I personally don't know if they could have got anybody better for that role though, just because like he give it that comedic, you know what I mean, aspect too. So
Yeah, he's definitely the comedy relief in this movie. You need him. I don't man, 97, who else could have played this? I can't even think of anyone.
yeah, nah, I don't think
Maybe
anybody.
you know what? You know who comes to mind?
97?
You know who comes to mind?
Who?
Marlon Wayans.
Yeah,
Marlon
maybe.
Wayans.
That
Marlon
was,
Wayans. Because he has that feminine, he can be feminine but
yeah,
still manly and funny. So that would be my only other choice, maybe, would be Marlon Wayans. But other than that,
yeah,
I don't see nobody.
and it was more physical comedy, so definitely
Yeah,
Marlon Wayans. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So shout out to Chris Tucker, man. Shout out to Chris Tucker.
Yeah, definitely big shout out to Chris Tucker, man. Like, man, I won't lie. This movie, like, I'm like, yo, he definitely is the scene stealer. Like,
Okay.
like,
Okay. I was gonna ask you next. Who is your scene stealer? I'm with you on Chris Tucker. He's oh man, I would say 1A, but mine is Zorg, man.
Lord,
1B. I fucks with Zorg, man.
I ain't mad at that. Yeah,
Zorg, Gary Oldman, man. He did his thing. This is the movie that made me really fuck with Gary Oldman, honestly.
yeah, and honestly though, he really is one of those bad guys. Is where it's like you always think, like, man, what happened if things go his way?
Man,
Like,
yes.
what really happened if things go his way? Like, I wouldn't be mad seeing it.
And think about if Zorg helped the evil spirit dude, the shadow, that's what they call him. I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Think about if he helped the shadow get what he wanted. They said it would be darkness. Like, so are you okay with that, Zorg? Like, I guess as long as your bank account full, you all right with that? Like, that's why, he was talking to the shadow. That's another good scene. Another good quote when his secretary calls him and she's like, you got a phone call? He said, I told you I didn't want to be disturbed.
yeah.
He said, unless it's the shadow, and it's the shadow. He got shook, like, oh shit. I forgot I said that. Like, every time that nigga talk to somebody, man, they get the bleeding.
Bleeding, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's that, man. That's that evil spirit, man.
Man, that's that. And he rubbed it off his head too.
Yeah.
He was shook.
He was shook, man. Think about that. Like, he just you just on the phone with this nigga. Like,
Yeah,
he's talking about my price is tripled. He said, money is no object. Get
Hey,
me them stones, nigga.
yeah, hey,
Give a fuck about no money. Like I don't even money isn't a thing to me. Like
yeah,
shit. It's 22:35. Like he probably the ultimate hacker. That
yeah,
motherfucker stealing money from all banks, nigga. What you
yeah.
need?
Yeah, and Zorg was, you know what I mean? Shit, Zorg was about that. Hey,
About that
we gonna
act.
we gonna run this price up.
Mhm.
I'm gonna try to get you these stones though.
Yeah, he tried, bro. He tried his get shout out to Zork. He tried his hardest.
But
Like,
to get the case.
bro, and how you working? I don't never want to work for somebody who has a plant in me where they can blow me up.
Yeah, that's
Like
good. That was
he blew
crazy.
up old boy. Like, sheesh. You talking about? You know, I don't like to be disappointed. I
Boom.
know, sir. It won't happen again. I know it won't.
Hey, hey, hey.
So think about how evil Zorg is, and think about who he's working for. So, sheesh.
But hey, I will say this though. Dude was Saudi though when he was trying to get on the plane or on the ship, and he was like,
I'm
"Yeah,
Corbin
I'm Corbin
Dallas.
Dallas." She was like, "Sorry, the only Corbin Dallas we got actually already checked in."
Because that's like, what was that? Like the fourth motherfucker to come and say they Corbin Dallas. Like,
Yeah,
shit. Multi pass. Mrs.
man.
Dallas. She knows it's a multi pass. Like, she knows. So,
Yeah.
but I think that's pretty much all I have. Next is my rating system.
Okay.
The people rate this as 7.6 IMDb. According to IMDb, this is 7.6. Like I said, this is a cult classic. I feel like every year this movie earns a point. As far as like last time, probably about 2 years ago, this was probably like a 7.4. So every couple years, people come and fuck with this movie, and it goes up. But my rating system is hell yeah, shit yeah, fuck yeah. Far as would I watch this movie again? Hell yeah, shit yeah, fuck yeah. I'm going with fuck yeah. This is my shit. I'm gonna watch this again. I'll probably be watching this in the next couple months. I'll throw this back on. This is my shit. So
I'll say shit. Yeah,
shit yeah. Okay.
yeah. It's not a movie like I could throw that movie on. Like so, I told you I'm a big Die Hard fan. Like Die Hard is like
Yes.
that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Like so, it's like I'll watch it just based on the fact that you know what I mean. I could throw it on randomly on a Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
Sunday. I'm cleaning, and I'm like, shit. You know what I mean? I can listen to it and know what's going on. But Bruce Willis, man, Bruce Willis, he
Yes.
he 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 gonna give me the pass on this movie every time. With Chris Tucker, so
I'm going to. I'm glad you brought him up again. Before we get out of here, I definitely want to. I know this ain't the culture garden, but I definitely want to give Bruce Willis his flowers. If you don't know, he was diagnosed with a form of dementia.
yeah,
So Bruce Willis has officially retired from acting. I
which
think
is
that,
unfortunate.
huh?
So which is unfortunate,
Which is
man.
very unfortunate. He's in a few of my specifically SGP classics, like The Last Boy Scout. That's another one. Like I fucking love him in that movie. All those one-liners,
Man,
Die Hard started all that.
yeah,
Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Die Hard trilogy.
Yeah, that trilogy. I'm not a big fan of the second one, but it is what it is. You got to watch it if you're gonna watch the trilogy.
Yeah,
But Die Hard with a Vengeance. But The Last Boy Scout is my shit. I love every one-liner he has in that movie. Um, he's just he's Pulp Fiction. Like Bruce Willis is a legend to me. Like,
man,
and it's sad to hear of this sad news. This is upsetting to me because like I said, Bruce Willis is a bad motherfucker, and I would have loved to see him in a Taken, or one of those type of movies, playing a little bit older, but I'm ex CIA and kind of
like
like
the
an
Equalizer.
equalizer type
Yeah,
of that would have been dope. That'd have been dope. So just one of those what ifs that we won't get, but we do have a lot of, look who's talking and look who's talking to. Like his voice, he's a great voice actor. He was in Beavis and Butthead, and like he's just
which Bruce Willis don't get enough credit for like really being funny too. He really a funny cat.
And he's a singer. Like
I didn't know he was a singer.
Yeah, one of his dreams was to record a song with the Temptations, and they made that shit happen. Look it up. He got a couple tracks with the Temptations.
I definitely gotta look that up.
Yeah, that's his favorite group, and that's our group. So yeah. So he got a couple tracks with the Temptations too. So shout out to Bruce Willis, man. Straight up.
So he was on the track with Otis.
Oh, Otis, yes sir.
He was on the track with Otis.
The only surviving member. Shit.
Man. And it's crazy. When nobody coming to see Otis.
Hey, when nobody coming to see Otis. Hey, and they said, why don't you just stay on the road? Hey, man. All right, man.
hey, that was our movie. That was for sure our movie.
Now that shit, we used to watch that shit so much, boy. And what's your line? Why don't you just stay on the road?
Why don't you stay on the road? Bro. Hey, bro. When his son told him that, bro,
he meant that shit, bro.
Yeah, he did. But
he meant that shit. So I'm so glad that you came on here. You showed up and showed out for me, big dog. I appreciate you.
It was a pleasure with you inviting me on, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I won't go turn you down at all.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to do another couple of these because I definitely have a couple more that I want to have you on. Hopefully you remember watching the motherfuckers with me.
Oh well, if you do the Larry Flint movie,
would you get some bananas?
Hey.
Hey, bro, you gotta chill, bro. Yes, I'll get you bananas. Hey, you used to be fooling, bro.
Bro, hey, I ain't never seen nobody more excited to have the feds on them.
Hey, nigga was fooling. You hear me?
Hey, but
nigga was fooling. So yeah, like I said, I appreciate you for coming on here, taking time out your day. I know you're a busy nigga, man. The Eagles probably playing.
They play tomorrow.
Oh, okay, yeah, man. So it is what it is. You fucked me over last week because you thought the Eagles was about to win, and they ain't do shit. Got popped.
Yeah, we can't talk about it, man. It was
they got that pussy popped. Shout out to Ludacris, nigga.
It was ugly, man. But it's cool that they back to the basics this week. They gonna win this week.
Hey, this nigga act like he in the locker room and shit. Back to the basics. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. This is a producer checking in. Sorry, y'all, man. I ain't mean to interrupt. I'm gonna lead this in the episode. But since you just mentioned Ludacris School, you didn't mention the fact that the Bada Boom skit, Bada Boom, was used. Ludacris used that as a Drake and Big Sean diss in 2011. Had to just hop in and say that. So,
damn,
Bada Boom for y'all to look it up. That he used the actual Bada Boom scene from Fifth Element as the intro to that diss in 2011 to Big Sean and Drake. So look up the song Ludacris Bada Boom. It was on Back to the Future, Back for the First Time mixtape. So I just had to hop in and say that, especially since you mentioned Luda. I know that's your guy. I'm out. Y'all doing a hell of a job. I'm gonna let y'all wrap it up.
All right, appreciate you. That's my first. That's my. If you don't know, that's my first favorite rapper, man. I remember, boy, Rich. Rich was playing that Back for the First Time. So if niggas, this ain't got shit to do with nothing. But if niggas don't know, man, I'm big into like gospel, and I love gospel music, and I love the whinings, and man, like, so I missed that prime era of hip hop, like from 97 to 2000 when like Bad Boy and Jay and May and like them niggas was taking over the rap, and rap was taking over. I was listening to the Temptations, Jackson 5, Michael Jackson, like I was on that shit. But man, when I heard Back for the First Time by Ludacris, it was over, bro. Like that was it. I was like, okay, I'm done with that shit.
That was for sure. Hey, you used to love Ludacris even later. Like I remember, what was it that came out? Was it Chicken and Beer that came out?
Chicken and Beer, even Release Therapy. I had to get on Rich not that long ago because he said, I think it was Release Therapy or one of them albums went hot, and I was like, nigga, what? Check that shit out again. He hit
I
me
hope
back
it.
and was like,
I hope it wasn't Red Light District.
Red Light District. That shit was fire. Like Luda, bro. Luda don't really miss, man.
Yeah, he don't.
Luda don't really miss, man. So his acting. Anyway, so yeah, back to this. Let's wrap this up. I appreciate you for coming on the show, big dog. Like real shit. Like I said, for taking time out your busy schedule. You know, it's all love on this end. Shout out to Ray P. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to Maurice. Shout out to Spike. Shout out to We Got Y'all. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, like, subscribe, share this shit. If you know somebody that love movies, crazy movies, ignorant movies, all that shit, I got you. Because I promise you, SGP gonna come with that heat. You feel me? So with that being said, peace.
Can I say one thing though before you go?
There you go. Yeah, go ahead.
I got to say this. So I wouldn't let this happen to me, and I got to put this in there.
Okay,
it's a moment in the movie I wouldn't let happen to me. When the priest hit Corbin over the head with that award, and then took his ticket and left. Ain't no way when I meet up with you again, I'm not putting my hands on you. I don't care if you're the priest, but you ain't gonna crack me in the back of the head, and then when I see you, we ain't throwing hands or something.
Listen, okay, so I have something to say about that. I get exactly what you're saying, but the mission was at hand. It wasn't enough time. Like he knew that they only had a limited amount of time and he had to handle his business. Plus, he didn't run into the priest again until later in the movie. Yeah, later on. Like the first person he saw was David, which is the apprentice. He didn't see, remember the Cornelius sent his apprentice because he was younger to act like Lilu's husband. It wasn't him. Remember, he's at the bar talking to the computer.
The robot. Yeah.
To the robot. Yeah. He talking about refill. So yeah, but I feel you though. I get what you're saying though. But yeah, man, it wasn't no time for that shit, man.
I just had to get it off my chest.
We gotta save the world, man.
I just had to get that off my chest. My bad. I didn't mean to mess up the exit.
Nah, you good. Anything else you want to say, man? I'm done with you today.
I appreciate you. I appreciate Rich, Ray P. You know what I mean? I love listening to, you know what I mean? Obviously, you know what I mean? School is guilty pleasures. But also, you know what I mean? It all started for me with, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir. CG, the Coach Garden.
So
yes.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I done had the infamous text where I got to text y'all and be like, hey, especially like if it's an episode that I got some smoke about, I gotta let y'all know.
Yeah, well, come on the show. Come on episode Wednesday where we're gonna be doing the friends and family event and let motherfuckers come on there and speak their mind. So
I'll be there because I still got some smoke from the Will Smith episode. So
all right, bet. I hope it ain't with me because I told you niggas he was gonna win that Oscar. Peace, nigga.